In this video, I'm going to introduce Joseph Conrad's classic novel, Heart of Darkness. You'll be reading an excerpt from this novel as a comparative text with Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. I'll provide some historical context for the story and author, as well as suggestions for this independent reading. But first, let's go over our learning objective for this reading. Our objective is to compare and contrast two texts within a similar genre for theme and point of view. Let's begin with some historical context. Between 1881 and 1914, European countries conquered Africa in a move called New Imperialism. By 1914, 90% of Africa was under European rule. A primary driver of this conquest was the desire for raw materials such as copper, diamonds, and rubber. Heart of Darkness takes place in the Belgian Congo. Demands for the rubber and ivory there were so extreme that Belgian colonial rulers forced natives into servitude. And failures to meet quotas meant death and burned villages. Nearly half of the native population may have perished during this time. Joseph Conrad had first-hand experience of Africa, resulting from his time spent as a sailor. He portrays Africa through the perspective of colonizing Europeans, many of whom viewed the African natives as savages. The prejudice illustrated in The Heart of Darkness inspired many other writers, such as Chinua Achebe, to write about Africa from the point of view of the natives instead, to show Africans as members of a complex and civilized society. However, there is disagreement about this novel. While some critics argue that Conrad's depiction of Africa is a prejudiced reflection of colonial attitudes, others see it as a critique of European imperialism. In fact, there have been many books written about this debate. Finally, a word about Joseph Conrad's writing style. He was a product of the modernist movement in literature that emerged following World War I. Modernist authors experimented with traditional forms of writing, and Joseph Conrad is no exception. He is known for a stream of consciousness style, which can be a little tricky to follow. Stream of consciousness writing explores the inner mind of the story's narrator and attempts to write in a way that captures the way that people think. And as you know, our brains tend to jump around a lot. This can make following the narrative a little tricky. Understanding this style of writing takes patience and some good annotations. And that brings us to our tasks for this independent reading. First, if you haven't already, watch the video preview and read the introduction on tab 1. This will help prepare you to enter into the story. Next, there may be a few words in this story that you are unfamiliar with. Take the time to complete the vocabulary drag and drop activity on tab 2 to familiarize yourself with these words before you read the text. You can Google the definitions, and you don't have to create your own sample sentences. Next, read the summary of the story. This will help you better follow the story. After that, carefully read and annotate the text. You'll want to take your time on this one, as it is tricky. Since you are using this as a comparative text, you will not have to complete the reading quiz. However, I would highly recommend finding a partner and discussing the questions that are below this video. These questions will help you engage with important details from the story and increase your comprehension. As always, I'm here to help you if you get lost or if you need additional help with this reading. Just reach out to me.